Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, Natural Intentions Community. I am Coach Kimberly, and today is all about the victim mentality. Do you have a victim mentality? Have I had a victim mentality before? I actually recorded this video on live this morning, but my new microphone was not working. So I am here to do it all over again. But I was dedicated to this because this information is so good. You guys had to have this information. I really felt like I needed to share it. And we're going to go over it again. And I'm going to make sure this time that you guys hear me. I have on my old mic, so I don't have to worry about the sound. So let's go over what a victim mentality is. Why did I even pick this subject? I went through a 30-day detox last month, and it was all about detoxing my thoughts. Detoxing my mind from my old mindset, from my thoughts that I was having. I'm always working on myself daily. It is just who I am and what I do. I'm always trying to show up as my best self. I am really in the process of just trying to master myself and just make sure that I'm showing up as the best version of myself, not only for me, but for all those around me. So it's really important for me to do this work. Plus, I'm a coach, so I help others. And my sole mission is to help people with trauma. So I'm always working on, just my old trauma, the things that I've gone through, making sure that, I've actually done the healing that I need to do in certain areas. And no, I'm not completely healed. There's things that I still need to work on, but that goes for everybody. We're always going to be working on ourselves. So last month I did this 30-day detox on my thoughts, on my mind. Focus on the thoughts that I was thinking, because that was something that was coming up for me lately. Just, you'll go through regular everyday life. Things are not going to always be easy. Things are not going to always go smoothly. And you're going to have areas that you need to go back in and you need to do a little work. So for me, I've just been going through some stuff and I felt like, okay, my mind, my thoughts are getting a little too crazy. So I need to do something about it. I need to do a mind detox. I need to really stop. I need to really make sure that every day I'm consciously aware of what I'm thinking. How is my self-talk? What is my mindset that day? That was really starting to bother me, because I know for a fact, all the studying, all the research that I've been doing, that thoughts are things. Thoughts can affect our body physically. So I wanted to make sure that I'm not allowing my thoughts to get out of hand to where eventually it would start, affecting my body. So I did the 30-day detox. It was awesome. It was amazing. And I really was aware, like, every day of, okay, no, what my friend taught me this. It's just a quick little reminder to get you back into your right mindset. And anytime you might be thinking some bad thoughts or something negative, or maybe having some really negative self-talk, do this and it'll snap you back into consciousness, and you can deal with whatever it is that's going on with you. But simply all he would do is 1, 2, 3. What are you manifesting? 1, 2, 3. What are you manifesting? What are you manifesting with those thoughts? Those thoughts are going to turn into things. Those thoughts are going to turn into your reality. As above, so below. Whatever's in your head is going to come out into your body and then outside of your body. Okay, so whatever we're thinking is going to turn into energy, and we're going to be putting that energy out into the world, and it's going to come back to us. So we have to be very aware of that. So it really helped me a lot. You guys, I manifested so many good things in my life in those 30 days. It was work every day. Yes, it was. But I manifested some really good things that I knew I could manifest if I just kept my mind. And it's not just about having positive thoughts. It's about checking your thoughts, checking what you're thinking. Are you talking negative? It's so easy for us to get into a real quick negative conversation with ourselves. If something doesn't go right for us, if we mess up on something, if just anything like that, it's really easy for us to start, berating ourselves, basically. Like, we don't need anyone to be really critical with us half the time, because we can really be very critical on ourselves. So it's very, very important for us to be doing that self-check on how are we talking to ourselves and what are our thoughts. So like I said, I really manifested some amazing things that month, and it was really easy. No effort. I didn't try. I was just trying to make sure that my mind was staying clear of negative thoughts. And they would pop in, but immediately I would replace that negative thought with something positive, or I would just put into my mind that what I was thinking wasn't true, and it was just a story that I was telling myself. So that helped me out a lot, and it made me start thinking about having people having a victim mentality, because basically at that time, that's what I was doing. I was having a victim mentality, like, why does this stuff keep happening to me? Why is nothing showing up in my life when I want it to? Why is it taking so long? So I was having this whole victimhood mentality going on, and I was like, oh my God, I don't want to be stuck in this place. Like, this is crazy. I want to work on this. So I know there's so many other people out here who deal with this. So I just wanted to talk about it and get like some real clear, get just a clear definition of what a victim mentality is, signs of a victim mentality, give you guys a couple of examples of what a victim mentality looks like. Why would we have a victim mentality? What happened to us, which we all know is trauma. What happened to us to make us even have a victim mentality, and that always usually steers back to what happened to us in our life. Not why are we like this, but what happened to us? Why are we a victim? And that's usually from trauma. That's from the people we grow up with, our environment, our culture. All those different things can form your mindset and can form who you are as you grow up. And if you don't get that knowledge that you need in order to turn that around, then you're just going to be stuck in this victimhood. And most of the time you don't even realize it because you can't see yourself. So that's why it's always so good to do this work, to get a coach, to get a therapist, to get someone to work with so they can hold that mirror up for you and you can start seeing yourself, and then you can start working on yourself. So let's get started. If you have a pen or a piece of paper, you know how I do it. I'm a teacher. Let's get this done. Let's make sure we take some notes, because this is something you might want to come back to. You might want to share this with someone else. And we're going to start with what is a victim mentality. And before we start with that, I don't know if I said it already, but please make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And make sure you share it with a family or a friend, because somebody might really resonate with this and this might help them. This is my whole reasoning for even getting on YouTube and doing any of this, because I know there's somebody out here who could use this information. Because when I didn't have this information, I wish I had this type of outlet that I could have gone to and got this information. So what is a victim mentality? So a victim mentality is a learned behavior in individuals who believe they have no control over their life, because they think nothing they do really matters. So they don't feel like they have any control over their life. They've given up control. They've relinquished control of their lives. And they're just like, hey, I can't control any of this. Bad things just keep happening to me and I'm just giving up. They tend to think bad things are always bound to happen to them, and others are usually to blame. So they're never looking at themselves. If you're in a victim mentality state, you are always blaming others. It's never your fault. It's always somebody else's fault. Okay? People with a victim mentality often feel powerless, without agency, which is no control, and lack of accountability in their lives. So they're not taking any accountability for what's going on in their life. They're just, blaming other people for what's happening to them, when really we have the power to take control of our own lives and to make our lives better if we want to. All we have to do is do the work. Find out where we need to go to get this help, and then do the work in order for us to see the change. So some people don't know. Some people, they don't have a clue. I didn't know back in the day when I wasn't a coach, or I didn't have knowledge of therapy, and I didn't have knowledge of even what a mindset meant or how to love myself. I didn't know. I had no clue. And it took me a long time for me to get that information. But once I found it, then I was like, oh God, I wish I would have knew this a long time ago. Let's get to work. And for some people, it's harder than that. It's not that easy. And it wasn't that like simple and easy for me either. It took me some years to get there and to really start seeing myself and really start seeing, the things that I was doing, and that I was causing a lot of this pain and anguish in my life for myself. It was really on me. It wasn't on someone else. Only you can make you happy. No one else can. You're not going to find happiness in someone else. You only can find happiness within yourself. Okay? So what are some signs of a victim mentality? And you might want to write some of these down, or if some of these resonate with you. If you get a little triggered or you feel like I'm talking about you, then know that that is probably an area you still need to work on, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. I get triggered all the time. And it just lets me know that that is a area in my life that I haven't really healed from, and I need to continue the work. So there's nothing to be ashamed of about that. Remember, shame is a useless emotion. What we want to do is to, if something like this comes up for us and we know that's us and we can see ourselves, then just accept it and know that it's just, I need to do some work. Okay? So one thing is negative self-talk or self-pity. Are you always the person to, I never do anything right, or nothing is ever going right for me in my life? Or are you always looking for pity from someone else? Are you always looking for someone to feel sorry for you and what's going on in your life? Are you having this negative self-talk that I talked about earlier? Are you always berating yourself? Are you always putting yourself down? Are you never congratulating yourself when you do something good? Okay, so negative self-talk is one sign of a victim mentality. Pessimism about the future. You're always feeling like nothing's ever going to work out. It's just not going to work out for you. Okay, another sign. Fears of being taken advantage of. Bad things have happened before, so they will inevitably happen again. So you never feel like it's going to get better. You're always feeling, you're looking for doomsday. You're always looking for doomsday. Is that you? Are you always looking for doomsday? Okay. Are you envious of others? If only I had money like he or she does, then my life would be so much better. If I had the education, then I would be doing this or that. So are you always looking at other people and being envious of what they have because you don't have it? Struggles to enjoy the good. So you can't see the good in anything. Like summer is great, but it sucks because winter is coming. So you can't even enjoy the here and now because you're always in the future, and it's always a negative future. It's never anything positive, okay? So you got to find something good in something. It just can't always be bad. Okay, so another one is lack of empathy. So you can't even, and I've had this a lot with family and friends where I might have a problem and I'm trying to express my problem or share my problem with someone, and then I can't because they always have it worse than me. So it's like the conversation is always turned around to what's going on with them, because they don't have any empathy for me because their story is way worse than mine, or they think their story is way worse than mine. So they're not even giving me any leeway to share what I need to share. So they're just sharing back again. Once again, it's back on them and that victim mentality of, look what's happening to me. I'm the victim. Why me? So is that, something that you're familiar with, or do you know someone like that? Disinterested in solutions. So you are always trying to give a solution to someone. You're trying to help them. They're always coming to you with all these problems, but they don't want to listen. They don't want to listen, and they don't want to take the advice, and they don't want to find a solution. They are stuck on the problem. They love the problem, but they don't want to find a solution. Okay? Rejects feedback or support. They don't want to hear it. I can't do that. It will never work. I don't want to hear it. It just never works out for me. So we all know people like that. And maybe we've been there ourselves. So they just don't want any feedback, and they don't want any support because they like to be in this victim mentality. They've actually made it a part of who they are. So they've not only been a victim their whole life, but now they've made it a part of their personality. This is who they are when they show up everywhere they go. They're a victim, and they don't realize it, and they don't see themselves. They just feel like this is my life and this is what's happening to me, and I'm going to put it out here on everybody else. So if I'm suffering, everybody else got to suffer. Okay? So another sign of a victim mentality would be lack of trust in others. So they feel like nobody understands, therefore I can't trust you. They don't even trust themselves. So how could they trust someone else? They don't love themselves and they don't trust themselves. So that's super important for us to understand, because this always goes back to our lack of self-love. When we're dealing with something like this, victim mentality, not trusting ourselves, being very negative with ourselves, a negative self-talk, that is a sign of not loving yourself. Okay, so that's really important that we always take it back there, because that's where it starts. The healing will start. The work will start there. Okay. And then cynical towards others' motives. People are always out to get me. So they're feeling like people are always out to do something to them, instead of feeling like opportunities are finding them, feeling like they're meeting the right people at the right time in the right place. They're not even open to that idea. They're open to, everybody's out to get me, so I'm not going to trust anybody. I'm never going to find the right opportunity or the right person, or they're not even open to that because their mind is so small and they're stuck in this victim mentality. And then the last one would be another sign of a victim mentality would be a narcissist. Of course, you have to be a narcissist to have all of what I just said going on. It's always about you. So it's never about anyone else. It's always about you and people feeling sorry for you. So those are the signs of a victim mentality. So you can write those down. If I went too fast, you can always come back, rewind the video if you need to. But those would be the things. So if you're like that, if you have someone like that in your family, you're more aware of, oh, okay, am I showing up like, am I a victim? Like sometimes we just don't know that that's what we're doing. And that's okay, because once you find, knowledge is power as long as we use it. Okay, and as long as we understand it. And if there are ever any questions, you guys, please leave it in the comments below. I'm going to leave my email address there. So if you do have questions, you can always email me. You can DM me on my Instagram. So if you ever have questions, I'm here to answer your questions. I don't want to be giving a bunch of information and you don't have an understanding of it. That's really important. I'm not getting on here just to see myself or just to talk. I really want to help someone, and I really want someone to get this information that they might not know about that they could really use in their life. Okay. So a victim mentality example. I'm just going to give you a quick example of what a victim mentality would look like. And this is going to be in the workplace. Okay. So listen to this quick scenario really quick. So it's you and your team, and you are working on a project together. This is at your job. Your boss has given you a budget and goal and put you in charge. Your teammate, Sasha, however, is unhappy about it. The boss never believes in me, Sasha says. You try to remind Sasha of the strengths that she has and what she can bring to the table. But the praise, of course, is what? Rejected. You hold the first meeting and people go around sharing their ideas. Sasha shares hers and afterwards says, no one ever appreciates my ideas. Others try to encourage her, but she deflects and ruminates on past instances where she perceived and no one ever listened to her. Okay? As the meeting goes on, some teammates are getting excited and already setting up plans, but Sasha says she wants to be realistic. We'll never sell that many tickets. That idea won't work. By the end of the meeting, most people are feeling deflated and unmotivated. Okay, so Sasha has ruined the mood for everybody. She has completely messed up the team meeting. Now she has everyone feeling, bad, unmotivated. And that's what people like that who have a victim mentality like that, they affect everyone around them. And have you ever, we've all experienced that, being around someone who's in a bad mood, or their energy is low, or they're just vibing really low. And it kind of affects everyone around you. You feel that. You feel that energy. So it's hard for you to keep your energy up when someone's around you you're involved with immediately in that type of close vicinity, for you to keep your energy up too. Okay, so that's just an example. And that could be something that can happen within your family, within your relationships. It's going to be really hard to be in a relationship or to work with someone who has that type of mentality going on, that type of mindset. Okay. So why do we have this victim mentality? What's happened to us? What's going on? Because it's not what's wrong with us. It's what's happened to us. We just weren't born like this. So most people have a victim mentality because they've suffered some type of trauma in their life. I know for me, when I was really dealing with a victim mentality and really feeling sorry for myself, or having issues with my self-esteem and how I felt about myself, It was because of things I had gone through and because of a mindset I had formed when I was younger. All it takes is one time for someone to tell you something, especially when you're young, between the ages of like 2 and 10. Let someone tell you something about yourself, that you can't achieve this, or you're not pretty enough, or you're not smart enough, or you can't do this. That forms in your mind and it sticks. And that's hard to get rid of if you don't have someone there to help you fix that. Okay? And that person that could have told you that could have been your parent or your brother or your sister, or someone that was in charge of you, like your teacher, or someone you looked up to, like a mentor or something like that. Someone you really admire, and then they put you down. So it could be something like that, or it could be a big T trauma, something really tragic that happened to you. And you're just like, why did this happen to me? And you just can't get out of that. And because you haven't been taught. You don't know how to get out of that. You really have been victimized by somebody, and now you've just taken it on as who you are, as your personality. Because you don't know any better. This is all you knew, especially if it happened to you when you were younger. So this isn't a fault of anyone. This is just something that we have to learn how to get tools and how to use different methods so we can get out of this frame of mind and we can become our best selves. Because that's the best part I love about my work, is really helping people to see that we are all beautiful, special, great, unique people underneath all the muck and the crap and all the stuff that we've been through, that we are really beautiful people underneath. And all we need is a chance to grow and to learn. So that's the part of my work that I really love. So that's basically how a victim mentality forms, and just for us to remember that what happened to us, but it's not who we are. We don't have to take that on as a part of who we are. We can learn to heal from that, and we can leave that in the past, and we can move on with our lives. It's a process, but we definitely can do it. And that's what trauma healing is all about. Okay? Changing our mindset. That's what that's all about. Changing the thoughts that we think. That's what that's all about. It's about doing the work, doing the inner work. It's hard work, but it's good work. I always say that. You guys are probably sick of me saying that, but it's true. And we have to get that through and know that that's what we have to do in order to see change. We can't take in all this information and not do anything with it. It has to be action behind it. So that was one of the biggest things that I learned, that I can't read a bunch of books. I can't take a bunch of classes and not do any action work. I have to do the work. I have to be consciously aware of how I'm showing up every day. It's very important. Okay, so negative consequences of victim mentality. So these are some of the negative things that I'm pretty sure we're all very aware of. Poor mental health, which could lead to physical health. So one of the negative consequences would be poor mental health, which could be depression, anxiety, so many different things that we could be dealing with mentally that could eventually affect our body physically, the mind-body connection, okay? Lack of meaningful relationships. Who are we going to be building relationships when we're in this victim mentality besides someone else who's in a victim mentality? Then you're really going to be in trouble because now you're with someone and you're both stuck in this victim mentality. So it's going to be hard for us to really build good relationships with good people who could help us move forward if we have this type of mentality or this mindset. Negative workplace dynamics. We talked about that in the example that I gave you. You're going to have negative workplace. These are people you have to work with. No one's going to want to work with you. No one's going to want to give you a new position or give you a raise or make you the lead of the group. No one's going to want to do that if you're always being negative, and eventually you're probably going to get fired because no one's going to want to deal with that type of mentality in a group setting or in a place where there needs to be continued growth. Okay? Lack of accountability in society. So when I think about lack of accountability, I always think about people who get in trouble in society, because you don't have any accountability for what you're doing. You're a victim out here, so you're going to make somebody else a victim. So that could be crime. That could be getting in the wrong type of relationships. That you don't want it to go that far. When you don't have accountability for what you're doing in society, for how you're showing up, you're almost you're taking the chance that you might just do anything. Okay, so that's how a lot of crimes happen. That's how a lot of crazy people get into power, So the words that come to mind is also blame, shame, and not trusting self or trusting others. Okay, so we're blaming a lot. We're feeling a lot of shame for what has happened to us or for what we're not doing. And then we're definitely not trusting ourselves, and we're not trusting others. So we've talked all about that. Let's talk about what type of tools that we can use to overcome a victim mentality. What type of tools can we use? How can we get out of this mindset, out of this thinking? Well, for me, when I first started, of course, I did a lot of inner work, still doing a lot of inner work. But recently, like I said, I did the 30-day mindset, how I was thinking, detox. I just made this up, you guys. It wasn't anything. I just said, I'm going to do 30 days and I want to see how much I can change the way I'm thinking and how can I stop these negative thoughts to come into my mind? Because remember, we think more than 60,000 thoughts a day. And 80 to 90% of them are negative and are from the past. That's a lot. That means we're constantly living in the past. And how can we ever change if we're living in yesterday? If we're always bringing yesterday to today. Okay? So one way is to really, really start being consciously aware of what are you thinking. 1, 2, 3, what are you manifesting? What are you manifesting with those thoughts? Your thoughts form your reality. If you're always saying that, oh, that's not going to happen for me. Oh, I can't do that. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I can't. Then that's what's going to be showing up for you. We have to be aware of what we're putting out into the universe. It's so important. Like, people are worried about, they spend so much time thinking about how they can make money and how they can be successful in a material type of way. But not enough people are out here really thinking about, how can I really show up as my best self? How can I really, because money will show up for you when you show up as your best self, and you don't have to work as hard. You don't have to chase. It's just going to start coming to you. Because what are you doing when you're showing up as your best self? You're putting out good, positive energy. You're putting out energy that's going to come back to you. And it's going to bring you those opportunities, those people, those ideas. It's going to bring you that creativity. You're opening up your heart chakra when you're showing up as your best self. So you're working with your heart. You're working with love instead of your mind. So that's how we want to show up. We want to show up with our heart and not with our head. You want to show up here first, okay? It's so important for us to start doing that, because we see a whole different world if we really started living that way. But first, in order for us to do that, we got to do the work. We got to be willing to admit some of the things about ourselves that we need to work on, that we need to change. And sometimes, not sometimes, but all the time. That's really hard. But it's worth it. And I'm going to continue to talk about this because people, they don't get it. They want change in their life and they want to see something different, but they're not doing the work. They want to be that same old person and they want to see something new happen. And that's not how it works. You got to change in order for your reality to change. Okay? So one of the things that we can do is let's start reflecting on our wins. Let's start reflecting on the things that we've done good, because we've all have done something. I don't care if it's only one thing in your whole life that you can think about. Start reflecting on that until you can start creating some new ideas, some new things that show up in your life that are good. Because now after you watch this video, you're going to be creating grand things in your life. We're not going to be stuck in a victim mentality. We're going to start doing the work. Okay? So what is one thing I'm proud of doing what is one thing that I can look back on, depending on how old you are, in each decade of my life that I've done? What is it that I can look back on and that I'm proud of? Think about that. Write that down right now. Even if it's not each decade, what can you look at the last 5 years of your life, the last month, the last week? There's something. What have you done that you can say that you're proud of? Even if you got to go back to kindergarten, I don't care. Just put down one thing right now. Let's write this down. And then, what are my strengths and how did I best use them over the last year? What are your strengths? We all have strength. We are unique, gifted individuals. Every last one of us. I have something that you don't have. This person has something. Your sister, your brother has something that you don't have. You have something that they don't have. You have a gift, a God-given gift and talent. What are people always telling you you're good at? Think about that. Write that down. So what are some strengths? And how did you use them best over the past year? What are your strengths or your gifts? How did you use them? What are the top 3 challenges you've overcome in your lifetime? What are the top 3? And if you don't have 3, what's one? What's one challenge? If you have a job, you overcome not having a job. You overcame that. You got a job. There's something in your life that you overcome. Is there anything any hard, or is there anything that happened to you that you really had to overcome something? It was really hard for you. Write that down. Because this is how you're going to do the work. Like, you got to start engaging with yourself so you can really get to truly know yourself. So you can know that if any of these qualities that I read earlier, is that you? You don't know that if you don't really know who you are, if you're not paying attention, if you're not really consciously aware. It's so important. I promise you it's going to pay off when you do this work. I'm such a better person for it. I'm so much at peace, so much more at peace. I have a lot more joy in my life. Happiness is fleeting, but joy shows up when you're really truly doing the work. Bliss shows up when you're really truly doing the work. Okay? Engage. And another way that you're going to do this is you're going to engage, my favorite way, in acts of kindness. When was the last time you engaged in an act of kindness? When was the last time you just did something because you wanted to do something that was coming from your heart? Not your mind. Not because you thought that if I do this, then something good is going to happen to me. Not that. You just did it because you wanted to make somebody else happy. You wanted to help someone else and put a smile on their face. You saw somebody else struggling and you knew that they needed help, so you reached out to them and you helped them. And you didn't have any expectations. Acts of kindness. How about writing a note to somebody you love and just telling them how grateful you are? Send them a text. If you don't have time to write a note, just send them a text. Maybe your significant other, maybe your brother or sister, maybe your mother or father, maybe a friend, maybe a teacher, maybe the store clerk. She's always in there. She's always helping you. She's always smiling every time you go in. Send her a note. I mean, that makes people feel so good. And it makes you feel good when you make somebody else feel good. So how do you change a victim mentality? By stop being a victim. Okay? So we're going to engage in more acts of kindness. How about paying for someone's meals or groceries? Offer to babysit your friend's kids for free, so they maybe can go out for a date night or something. There's so many different ways. Help some homeless people. Buy somebody a meal. There's so many different ways that you could do it. Do it anonymously. You don't have to put yourself out there. Just do it. It's going to make you feel good and it's going to help somebody else out. That's what we're here for. As we're having this human experience, this spiritual self that's having this human experience, a big part of why we're here, at least that's what I believe, is because we're here to serve. We're here to find our purpose. We're here to do our soul mission. And we're here to serve others. And that's what makes this life satisfying. That's how you heal, when you're helping others. Okay? And you're out of that victim mentality. We're not feeling sorry for ourselves because we're doing too much to help others. And we're taking care of ourselves first, and then we're taking care of others. We're learning to love who we are, because we can't serve anyone if we're a victim. We can't serve anyone if we're full of anger, or if we're full of jealousy or hate. Okay? We only can do that from a place of love. And when we do that from a place of love, then of course we love ourselves, because that's who we have to love first. And then of course journaling would be a great idea. What I like to do with my journaling, I use my journaling when I meditate. Of course, after my meditation or during my meditation, as I receive downloads or I receive messages, then I like to journal and write them down so I don't forget. But I also like to journal at night so I can reflect on my day. How did I show up? How did I show up today? I've had a couple of days, these last few days, where I could have showed up a whole lot better in a few different situations. It wasn't nothing real serious, but I'm very aware of my behavior now. I'm very aware of how I'm showing up now. In certain situations, I was like, I didn't really have to say that. I didn't really have to get into that debate. I could have let that go. It wasn't that serious. So reflect on your day, some good journaling. So then you're keeping up with yourself. And you know what, maybe I could do this tomorrow and I can do better in this area because I didn't really do that good today. And I know I can do a little better in that area. So tomorrow I'm really going to stretch myself and I'm going to make sure that I do better in this area. Okay, so some journaling. And then like I did, make up a challenge. Find a challenge that works for you and for your life. Maybe it's a 1-week challenge. Maybe it's just for the day. Start somewhere. But really start paying attention to how you're thinking and what you're doing and how you're showing up for yourself and how you're showing up for others, because it's important. We're never going to see change in this world until we start changing ourselves. Okay, it's really important. So that is my whole spiel on a victim mentality and how we can do the work to change it. I just wanted to share that with you guys. I also have a really awesome worksheet, a radical self-love worksheet, heart chakra worksheet that would help you go further into deep diving into this and just really helping you to, like I said, create and start that relationship with yourself, finding out what you need. You know, how do you love yourself? How do you really love yourself? And do you really know yourself? Because most of us don't. And we got to spend time to really, we know the surface self. We know what we like. We know what we want. But do we really know who we are? Because most of us have forgotten. We've forgotten who we are. We've forgotten the power that we even have. So it's vital that we get back in touch and back in tune with who we really are on the inside and quit looking outside of ourselves for all this validation and for someone else to tell us who we are. Okay, so if you want this worksheet, all you have to do is follow the, send me a email with the email that I left in the description, and just put in the subject line request for a worksheet, self-love worksheet, and I'll just send it back to you. And that's how you're going to start changing, guys. Do the work. It's easy. It's not that easy, but the worksheet is easy. It might be a little time consuming because it's going to have you think. You're going to have to think. You're going to have to really get kind of deep and think about what the questions are. You're not just going to hurry up and write an answer. You really need to think and dive a little deep, because that's what's going to start the healing process. Okay? So if you want that worksheet, send me that email. And then the article that I got some of this information for, the link is going to be also in the description. So if you want to read the full article about victim mentality, the author was super amazing, and this was some really good information. If you're ever interested in one-on-one coaching, you can also send me an email. We have some amazing events coming up if you live in the state of California, Southern California. So check out my Instagram. But until next time, take care of yourself, love on somebody else, do something good for yourself, and then do something good for somebody else, and do the work. I'm always going to say that, do the work. So I'll see you guys next time. Peace and blessings.